And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this presentation of my final project for EDCI, EDCI8117, Professional Development and Learning. Professor Adam Kilchrist was our teacher for this class. This is the summer term of 2026 in the EDD program at Columbus State University, Columbus, Georgia. My name is Alejandro Villasana. And before we jump into the presentation, I have a few housekeeping items that I want to share with you. The first one is that I'm going to be making this presentation pretending that I'm giving it in front of a group of colleagues at the high school where I teach. The second item is that I'm using my YouTube channel for this, which means that I don't know what kind of advertisement it may show up or not. I don't know. I don't have control over that. And thirdly, I'm recording here at my studio at home, and the rest of the family is here. It's Sunday evening. So you may hear some noises, see something in the camera. I don't know. I'm just asking for your grace and your forgiveness if that is in any way distracting. For my presentation, I'm assuming that I'm pretending that my written proposal has been already distributed. So most of the content, most of the details are contained in that document, in that proposal. And this is a presentation that will follow the content or the structure of that proposal and giving a general overview of what is in that proposed professional learning community that I'm suggesting. Okay, so with that in mind, let us begin. Alrighty, thank you everyone for coming, for investing your time in coming to this presentation. I'm Alejandro Villasana. I teach computer science here, and I'm proposing, this is my presentation of a proposal for a cross-district CS, Computer Science Professional Learning Community, PLC. We're going to go over the reasoning behind it. Why is this necessary or important? We're going to look at some priorities. We're going to look at some of the tasks that are needed, resources required, etc., etc. And this presentation has the same structure. It follows the same pattern as the document that you already received. So you can follow along and you can get, of course, more information, more details in that document. So let me begin with like an overview or the context of the reasons why I am suggesting the creation of this PLC and some details about what makes this PLC a little different. First, the challenge. We do have a problem in instructional coaching for computer science teachers. One natural or intrinsic challenge is the constant change, not constant, but the frequent change of the technology that we are teaching students. So that requires some professional development or specialized professional development for CS educators. Then we have the challenge that we are facing in our state, very specifically about the isolation that some of us CS teachers face every day during the school year. And for at least two reasons, and we're going to go over those details here in a moment. And then the proposal, I'm proposing that we create a cross-district or statewide PLC where we can cultivate collaboration to address these issues. The first and the second statement on this list. About the first statement, about the isolation, about the need that we have for computer science focused instructional coaching. Regarding this statement, one of our sources, D4 et al., they say that professional development must be constant and ongoing. Talking about in general about professional development, that it has to be something that is ongoing. In chapter 4, they write, and I quote, "If all students are to learn at high levels, then the adults in the organization must also be continuing learning." Then Fullen, our other source, Fullen, in chapter 4, he writes, or he proposed, that this professional development must take place in the context of the work that the educator is doing. It must be embedded in the daily activities of those educators. So there is a natural, persistent need for professional development, more so or more specialized for us CS educators. Now, about the second statement in our screen, the challenge that we're facing. CS educators face this isolation. Isolation in general is a challenge for educators, the lack of collaboration. We, as CS teachers, we face this in a more persistent way for two reasons. One is, even though the state of Georgia requires that every public school has at least one computer science teacher in staff, part of the staff, part of the faculty, that is part of the problem, that we have fulfilled that requirement, or we are fulfilling that requirement to the minimal level, meaning very often the CS teacher is the only CS teacher in the building. There are no other teachers to collaborate with. So that's part of the problem. The other part of the problem is that very frequently, and my experience is at high school level, computer science courses, they don't conform an independent or a specific department. There is no such a thing as computer science department. As we know here in our school, that is not the case. Computer science is included in CTE, in Career and Technology Education Department, which we all know also is home for a diverse set of academic subjects. Under CTE, besides CS, we have, for instance, art, photography, video production, business technology, marketing, etc. So because of this diversity, it's very challenging, if not impossible, to coordinate our schedules to give us the room to create PLCs that will help us collaborate and work together in our specific content areas. About isolation, about this working alone, D4 et al. Highlights and emphasizes, they say that isolation is the most persistent and formidable obstacle for 21st century learning. On the other hand, Fullen gives us a warning that autonomy is not isolation. And here they're writing about that idea that I'm isolated, which means that I'm autonomous as an educator, which is something I like. And if I give up my isolation, I'm going to be giving up my autonomy. And so those are not the same things. You can be autonomous. You can still do, quote unquote, your thing, but participate in collaborative efforts to improve the quality of education. Isolation is harmful for us in our profession. So there is evidence from our sources that, yeah, this is not unique to computer science, but it manifests itself in a very unique way. So what I'm proposing is that we leverage the infrastructure that we already have, that we tackle this challenge intentionally, and that we utilize a virtual PLC that encompasses hopefully all the districts in our state, with the purpose of fostering collaboration and working together towards the development of specific elements of the curriculum, and like assessments and the implementation of new curriculum that comes from different organizations to improve CS education in our state. About this, about the idea of collaboration, and maybe including collaboration across districts, our sources also support this idea. Fullen, he cites another researcher. Fullen cites von Krogh, and in chapter 5, Fullen citing von Krogh, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, they support the idea of sharing knowledge across not only organization, that's something that I would love to see in our school. I would love to see cross-department PLCs for cross-pollination. I think that would be phenomenal. On a side note, as you may know, I'm teaching CS, but I'm also co-teaching geometry, and it has been a great blessing for me. Both of my classes, both areas, has been enriched for the other, or by the experience that I had in the other area. So I have seen that cross-pollination, cross-support firsthand. So our sources indicate that, that it's a good idea to have these professional learning communities across different departments in an organization, but also they emphasize that it will be beneficial to have this kind of PLCs across or going beyond geographical and cultural boundaries. So we see that support for this idea in our sources. Furthermore, this proposal, the way I'm proposing this PLC, it's a good example of what Fullen calls leadership from the middle. And let me quote him here. He writes in chapter 6, he describes this leadership from the middle as follows, quote, "This is a strategy that increases the capacity of the middle as it becomes a better partner laterally, upward, and downward." So we have this support for these ideas, for these needs. The needs are real, and the proposal is sound. In terms of priorities or prioritizing our needs, the first need that we are focusing on is supporting teachers coming into the field of CS education. I recently had the opportunity to participate in the Computer Science Teachers Association annual conference down in New Orleans, and that's where I learned that CSTA has an umbrella for professional development. It has that group, but under that umbrella, there are 3 distinct pathways, and that I didn't know. And when I learned that, I'm like, oh, it makes sense. It resonates with what I'm supporting. And then I added a little bit in the presentation, as you can, the document that you can read, that was distributed before our meeting. So here the idea is to support CS teachers. So there is a need for CS educators in our state. There's the mandate from Georgia Department of Education that every school should have at least one CS teacher. So the question is, where do we get those teachers from? And I'm focusing in at least 2 of those sources. One source is the industry. We have people like me with a bachelor's in computer science or software engineering, a lot of experience in the industry coming into education. But we're coming into education with the need of knowing, or with a lack of pedagogical methodologies. So we have that source, people coming from the industry. The other source is teachers from other academic areas coming into CS. Frequently, we have teachers moving from, for instance, math or science, even language arts, coming into CS. Both of them, both types, required a specialized support for them to provide the quality education that our students need. So that is the main thing. The other need is to promote, to encourage, to cultivate collaboration among different districts. Here in our district, I'm sure you'll know, we are blessed with plenty of resources. We have a lot of support at the district level and at the school level. But not all districts have the same level of support, and even here we still see that. At least it's my case. I can speak for. There's only 2 CS teachers here, and we see that challenge of isolation and the need to collaborate across, not only across the hall. We're next to each other, right? The other CS teacher is just next to my lab. But we have the need to collaborate not only across the hall, but across the district. And it will be good to share these resources with other districts that may not have the same level of support for computer science teachers. And then the last need is to have a centralized repository of knowledge that is shareable across the state. This third need has become a little bit more important now that we have the new PK-12 standards for computer science education that the CSTA has put forward. This is the new set of standards. It improves. It doesn't replace that. What I told is not a full replacement of the previous standards. It's an improvement upon the previous standards. But the previous standards are at least 10 or 12 years old, if I remember correctly. It took a couple years to the CSTA to develop these new standards for computer science education from pre-K all the way to high school. And so the need to have a centralized place where we can share approaches, ideas, methodologies based on those standards. That is a need that we have. That's a way to support those teachers coming into our field. A note here, I just want to be clear that I make this note, or that I share this with you. The state of Georgia does not subscribe to the CSTA standards. So the CSTA standards are very, very good, very comprehensive. We were told that about 45 states in our nation grab those standards and they use them as they are. Like, they grab those standards and, hey, these are our state standards. Well, that's not the case with the state of Georgia. We do our own thing. However, those standards, those educational goals from the CSTA have a strong influence in our state. It's a similar case as in our district. Now, our district, we don't take, at least for computer science, we don't take the standards that the Georgia Department of Education has, and we use it as they are. We take their standards, we adapt it, we modify it, we expand them according or to serve better our context. So all this to say, there's a need to provide pedagogy methodologies, activities, resources that support the learning goals of our state and support the new teachers coming into our field. My proposal has two parts, as you can see on the document that you received in more detail than in this slide. Basically, short-term, long-term goals. At the short term, the main goal, the main objective is to set up the environment and to begin promoting this idea and to get a cohort of CS teachers from at least 15 high schools across our state. So and this short term, this phase one is only 6 months long, from month 1 through 6. Ideally, month 1 will be September of 2026. And for 6 months, the idea here is to basically sell this idea, sell this concept, like promote it. There are ways that we can promote it, mainly through the CSTA Georgia chapter, but also we can use resources from Georgia DOE and maybe contacts that the leaders in our district have with other districts. Again, you may know this or not, but we have here in our district, at the district level, we have an office for computer science and artificial intelligence education. So I know that they are in contact with other districts, and we can use those extended networks to promote this idea. Long term, up to 2 years, right? Up to 24 months. Here, the idea is to scale this statewide PLC, scale it, sustain it, and keep the momentum and make it grow. For this to be successful, we estimate that we need at least 30% of the school districts in our state to have representation, to have some CS educators in this PLC. Again, here the idea will be to sustain and scale that collaboration across districts based on the CSTA standards, the Georgia DOE standards, and then mapping those and localizing those according to our district, our corresponding districts initiatives. For phase one, now breaking it down. So we look at these two main phases. Phase one, the setup. Phase two, the expansion. Phase one, we're going down, and we have these 6 activities that we have identified. You will notice the month when the activities is supposed to take place. Some of these activities can happen concurrently. Some activities depend of another being done. So here in a moment, I will have a diagram that explains that. But these are the 6 activities that we foresee are needed with a corresponding month or amount of the time allocated to each of those activities. The most extensive one, the one that requires most of the time, is number 5. We can consider number 5 here, padding and module co-creation. We can consider this part, this activity, part of our critical path, meaning it is crucial for the success of the whole project that we actually look into the AI and data science modules, the creation of material and the training for the teachers for those modules according to the Georgia Department of Education, the priority given by Georgia DOE to these 2 particular areas of computer science. Long term, the scaling and sustaining this PLC. I'm looking at the title. Maybe I got them backward. It should be sustaining and scaling, but okay. So my bad. 3 main activities. Up to 2 years. That's what we are envisioning or anticipating that it will require. It will not be an easy task. It will be demanding, but I believe that the result can be significant. It can really improve the way we are teaching CS here in our state. And who knows, it may be a model for other states to replicate, or maybe it may be a model to be used by the CSTA. Excuse me. CSTA, I mentioned, it has different groups, or they don't call them departments. So there are different groups working in different areas of interest. So just like we have a member of CSTA, so just as there is one for professional development, and I mentioned there are different subsections, there's another section called instructional coaching, for instance. And again, we were told in a presentation 2 weeks ago at the conference, in the national conference, of the need for more instructional coaches, that there is not enough offer for the demand of instructional coaches in computer science. So this model of a PLC across districts, across a statewide PLC, may be something that CSTA may use. We'll see. But here's how we scale it, how we sustain it, and how we scale it. And it will take us a good 2 years to see this coming to pass, the whole project. Here we have, this is my attempt to, again, graphic. You can see the phase 1 and phase 2 color coded here. You can see the dependencies of one activity in relationship to the other. As we mentioned, activity number 5, it's part of the critical path. If there is a delay there, it will delay the second phase of our project. But also you can see here probably more clearly how activity 4 and activity 6 can be done or should be done in the same time frame as activity number 5. So this diagram, the idea is to give you a wider perspective of what is required, the sequence of the activities, and most importantly, the dependency of one activity in relationship to the other. When can one start, and does it depend on another? Also, this is helpful to distribute the workload that is needed for the implementation of this project. I'm planning on initiating this, but of course, this is not something that can be done by one teacher alone, talking about isolation, right? The most important resource, from my perspective, maybe in the person that is proposing this solution to our challenge, the resource that I need the most is time. Here on the right side of the screen, you can see that we have some significant resources already available. I have access, or I am a member not only of the CSTA, but I'm also a professional member of the Association for Computing Machinery and the Computer Society of the IEEE, the Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, which these two organizations, the ACM and the Computer Society, they have, they call it special interest groups focused on computer science education, and I participate with those. I recently submitted my application to be part of the CSTA, a new group that is being formed to oversee the professional development of teachers. So I'm trying to get more involved in that pedagogical side of computer science. So I have access to these networks locally here in our school. I'm a member of at least one PLC in the math department. Our district provides professional learning communities for computer science teachers. We have a vertical team or a vertical PLC for computer science in our cluster. So all those structures are available to me. And of course, we have statewide, we have access to asynchronous platforms, online platforms to meet and discuss that we can take advantage of. So we're not starting from zero. Most of the resources we need are already in place. The most important one for me will be my time to fine-tune the proposal, to begin implementing phase one, and to gain the support of other CS educators. First here in my cluster, in our school, in our cluster, and then in our district, and moving from there. In order to have that time, in order to have more of these resources, one thing that I need to do is to improve the use of my planning periods. Planning periods are becoming vital for this project. So the better I use those planning periods, the more time I'm going to have to dedicate to this project and to utilize all the resources that are available. And to finish here, how we're going to know if this worked, I came up with this rubric of 3 tiers to evaluate. I know to evaluate our project, I know I'm swinging for the fences, I know I'm shooting for the stars, but you know what they say, you shoot for the stars hoping that you will land on the moon. It may work, so we should try it, right? So these 3 different tiers evaluate the implementation of this proposal based on the results. The ideal column, that is if everything works extremely well, it exceeded our expectations, yay, everything was like, wow, very, very, very good. The one in the middle, effective, those are the requirements that we have spelled out in the document that you have in front of you, the summary that you have here in this presentation. That will be, it meets our expectations. It's good, yay. And the last one, yeah, that's the minimal expression, the minimal implementation level of this proposal, to say that it succeeded, to say, yeah, it worked. Anything less than this, we will have to go back to the drawing board, square one, and maybe square zero, determine, okay, so what is next? What can we do? So each of these tiers of evaluation tiers are detailed in your document. Please feel free to read them. And of course, if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer those questions. You know how to contact me. Here are my references for everything that has been presented here. These references are also included in your document. Thank you so very much for your time. And again, if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Thank you. Well, that's our presentation. I'm looking at our time. Okay, 34 minutes, not bad. So that is the last project. I already submitted the proposal on writing. I will include a link to this video on Cougar View and the PPTX file. So that's that. That's the last assignment for EDCI8117. Dr. Kilcrest, thank you so very much. It was a very interesting class. I enjoyed it. I appreciate, me personally, I am very encouraged by the convergency of these 3 classes that I took this semester: leadership theory, quality assessment and evaluation, and professional development and learning. I think it has created a good momentum for me to engage more in terms of collaboration at my school and my district, hopefully in our state. We'll see what happens. So thank you very much. I hope everyone has a good break. We have 2 weeks before the fall term begins, so rest and get ready. Okay, thank you.